Hey, what's happening, people? I'd like to take a moment to share my unsolicited opinion on this Charlie Kirk situation and talk about how it relates to the process of rebooting. I'm an addiction recovery professional, and I work using a system called rebooting that helps people realign with their values of autonomy, of free will, of happiness, of critical thinking. And when you are lacking in these things, when you're lacking in autonomy and free will, when you don't have the ability to think critically, when you are unhappy, there's usually some sort of compulsive behavior that is lurking around. And if you're struggling with one, well, you're not going to have any of those values. This situation, this Charlie Kirk situation, which I believe is a turning point in American politics, at least in this season, is a sign of an important change that's happening in society that is going to take away is going to take away your ability to develop these values. When it comes to rebooting, you need to be mindful of the environment you find yourself in. You are going to be affected and influenced by your environment. And this environment, frankly speaking, is absolute. See, I heard about the Charlie Kirk situation or his assassination, on my way back from a trip to Europe with my friends. It was let's call it a mastermind / trip. My friends got back to the United States before me. And so in the group chat, the messages I got were just returned and found out that Charlie Kirk was assassinated. Who is this Charlie Kirk guy? Sounds like a familiar name. And so I look it up. And the first thing that I think when I see his face was, oh, this asshole. Now stay with me. I'm sharing that because it is a reflection of how our ability to think critically is taken away by social media. See, I don't know who Charlie Kirk is, but years ago I came across a clip of him that was highlighted to show, without a doubt, racist statements that he was making, ignorant and racist statements. I saw them and I was influenced by what I saw. Like, he wasn't important to my life, so it was just like, whatever, this is some racist, ignorant guy. And I was possibly influenced by the way the clip was positioned and the comments that he made. So think about it. Years later, this person is assassinated. And it's not that I'm not compassionate towards him. I don't believe that he should have been assassinated. Nobody should be killed for their point of view. However, my knee-jerk reaction was this. And when you extrapolate it to everybody and what we are exposed to, and we are manipulated into this, right? Social media is curated. The algorithm picks up on certain things, negativity and disaster and catastrophe sells, and that is what we are consuming. And it impacts the way that we view people and we view politics and obviously the way we shape society. That was my first reaction. And what I want to say about all of this is that this assassination has highlighted the divide that we are in right now, which we've always been in, but how extreme it is. This extreme reactions from the left and from the right, and what that means for you. What it means for you is that if you value autonomy and free will and happiness and the ability to think critically, you now live in an environment where all of that is threatened. Not just ideologically, but it is actually threatened. Like, your free will is going to be taken away from you, and your autonomy is going to be continuously eroded by the laws that are going to come as a result of this. Like, there are going to be extreme things that happen, and then there are going to be extreme reactions, followed by another extreme turning point based on the assassination, murder, kidnapping, or something or the other, imprisonment of some sort of figurehead, which will lead to a further degradation in your values or your ability to live by these values. And this has been happening over time, but now it is accelerated. And the dangerous part of this is that we are unaware of it. It's the whole, like, putting a frog in a pot and boiling it, and the frog not being aware that it's being cooked. That's exactly what is happening in this society. And there's some of you out there who actually think that you can save this. Like, you think that by voting, you think that by being loud, you think that by advocating for something, you're going to change the trajectory of forces that are way more massive than you. I teach a concept called outcome independence. Some of you may be familiar with this. It's not my concept, but I do teach it, which talks about the zone of control, zone of influence, and zone of concern. Zone of control are the things we can actually control in our lives. Now, we can control our emotional state, what time we wake up in the morning, how hard we work, our response to certain things in life. We can also control where we choose to live, what we choose to think, and so on. Then zone of influence would be other people, right? We can only influence other people. You can only influence your children, your lover. You can only influence your clients, your family members, your constituents, your customers. That's all you can do, but you cannot control them. And then finally, we have zone of concern. Zone of concern would be things like politics. It would be things like the impact of certain things on the environment. It would be things like government and corporate policies. It would be things like war. You can only be concerned about them, but the average human being is not able to exert any influence. And you need to be able to tell the difference between your ability to exert influence on these things and when it's just concern. Influence can happen to certain things in the zone of control, like politics, corporate regulations, and so on, when there is a very large group of people willing to influence. Now, if that large group of people is fragmented, or they are divided and they have extreme beliefs, then they lose their ability to influence because each one is fighting the other. So they are no longer united. Therefore, they cannot change anything in the zone of concern, and they lose their ability to influence. That is exactly what is happening in the United States today, politically, and in our society. And what does that mean? It means that the only thing that matters right now is the zone of control. You have no hope of influence. If you're very hard-headed and you're like, Dad, I'm going to stay, I'm going to figure this out, I'm going to help people, we're going to unite, we're going to do all these things, that's fine. But you're not going to be able to do anything unless you go back to your zone of control and ask yourself, how much control do I have over my autonomy? How much control do I have over my free will? How much control do I have over my ability to critically think and my happiness? And brother, sister, if you do not have much control over those things, you're not going to be able to influence anything because you have no control over your own life. It is so important so you don't end up wasting mental energy, emotional energy on all of these things, to identify what you need to control in your life and to start controlling those things now. Some of you need to change environments. Some of you are not autonomous. You are too dependent on an employer, family members, a location that you're in, and you're not going to be free. You will always be dependent on somebody else. That is very, very dangerous when you can actually have control over it. Some of you do not have free will. You think you do, but you don't. Some of you already know, I don't have free will. I'm completely locked down. That is problematic. Many of you are unhappy, and many of you have completely lost the ability to critically think. You don't even know what the hell I'm talking about on this video. Or you hear what I'm talking about and you've become intellectually lazy, so you can't think for yourself because you've been overexposed to social media. That's fine if you're forming your opinions from social media, but at least be influenced by things that are encouraging you to be autonomous, things that are encouraging you to free will, things that promote your happiness, things that actually promote critically thinking. And after you're exposed to this social media, you're like, I want to educate myself more. I want to become more intelligent. I want to set my own values and standards, right? If you're going to be on social media, at least use social media in that way. So here's my advice, okay? And again, that's my unsolicited opinion on what's happening. But my advice is, you need to take care of yourself. Personally, I don't give a shit about society as a whole because I fully understand that I have no control and very little influence, no influence over society. But there are areas in society that are aligned with my mission and my purpose, and those are the areas that I serve. And so I just stay in my lane. Staying in my lane has allowed me to take care of my family, take care of myself, increase my happiness. It has maintained my free will. It has increased my autonomy. I do not try to get into lanes where I have no business. Now, if any of these things that I'm saying actually appeals to you, and you're like, this guy's my tribe, I like the way he's thinking, I would like to learn how to develop these skill sets in my life, but I do not struggle with pornography. Like, dude, I don't have a compulsive behavior, but I love autonomy. I value my free will. I am an intensely critical thinker. Like, I look at these things and I'm like, am I being scammed? Is this real? How do I think more critically, right? I don't have the baseline for doing this. I don't have any guiding or foundational or first principles to build from. And if you really value happiness, then you may be interested in being part of my mentorship group, which is called 20s Mentor. That's what it's called. And what I do is I guide usually men who are in their 20s and their 30s, who are trying to develop autonomy, free will, critical thinking, and improve their happiness. And of course, this involves every area of your life, from your spiritual life to your emotional life to your I have an incoming call that's like distracting me, to your financial life. I work with you on developing your values in that area. Okay, so all you need to do is DM me the word 20 or visit the link that's shared here, and I'll tell you a little bit more about it. Man, I'm tired. I'm gonna go back and crash. Take care.